And good afternoon, folks. How you doing today? This is the Sunbritta 500 watt grid tie power inverter, and bought this a while ago, and we're going to give an update on it.
I'm gonna have to rain down a godly firestorm on you.
And thank you for viewing this video. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking the icon above, and then of course hitting the bell icon to get notifications when the next video drops. So here we go.
We bought that power inverter basically, it's been a couple of years, and it finally basically broke recently, and it's actually fixable, but it broke recently and everything else that it been. I wanted to make an update on it, and again, these are the solar panels that I have on the ground. Now you can tell it's the ground mount and everything else of that, and again, I had these sitting out here for another experiment to see how much difference it is between basically have them facing south like they're supposed to be, even though they're on the ground, versus having them on my roof. Where in my roof, you'll see the previous video, that's basically a east configuration. So the long and the short is for that, I'm going to show you the numbers and everything else that on that, and we'll take a look at that together, and you'll see, was it worth it or did I waste my money?
All right, we're back inside. Now, as you can see on my screen right here and everything else that I have 3 of these type inverters. 3. Now you see this one says the oldest one. This one is the 2-panel one. It is now 4. That's what this was one you was actually looking at outside. It's now 4, and I just changed that, and I'll show you why in just a second. And then you'll see string 3. So this one's been installed on my roof the longest. This is the one that's been on my roof for, well, you'll have to check back on the first video so that it'll be linked in the description and everything else, and you'll see how long I've had that system. So we're gonna look at the oldest one first. And again, this one is, both of these here are facing east. So we're gonna take a look at that. Okay. So as you can see right now, so that now it's only 4:30. The sun is still pretty high in the sky, but the problem is, since it is facing east, it's facing that way, and the sun is actually above us going that way, it's only catching part of the sun at a really bad angle, but it's still getting some this late in the evening. Now I'm going to show you how much it is for the year. Give me 1 second. Now, this is basically showing you what it is for basically this week. And so, and as you can see, my highest production date, and I bought in 1.5 kilowatts for the week, for that day. Total week inside that, we're almost to 10 kilowatts. The average, as you can see, is about 1.6. And that's the average. Now again, we're not fully in this, we're getting close to fully in the summer, but let's look at it over the month. Okay. Now as you can see pretty clearly inside that, there are some days where we didn't get any, and then some days where it's fluctuating up and down, but pretty consistently, so that you can see on average it's getting the same amount. Now the days when it's not getting anything is either A, my son kicked out the thing, or B, most likely it's like it's a day where it's so cloudy that it shouldn't be no day when we're getting anything. So again, usually that's a day when it's been disconnected for some reason. Doesn't happen that often, but it does happen. So again, if you look at it and everything else of that, we're getting a healthy average per day. Now again, this is just one string. So for the day and everything else, I'll show you the combined total, but we'll just look at one string. And this is how much it is for the year. Now you can see instead that April is the highest month and everything else, so that just like last year, April was the highest month, so that until you get into the summertime. So that then you have July, August, and September, and so that. But again, on average, if they're cleaned off and everything else, and depending on the weather and everything else, that you can see consistently, it's about, for the month, we get it in about 37 kilowatts. Now again, that offsets my utility bill, because again, I have 4 kids still at home and everything else of that, plus me as an adult. We all got computers and everything else of that, so you can plainly tell we're burning up the midnight oil. So again, if you look at each one of these and everything else of that, so basically this is for one panel. All right, let's look at the panel that's on the ground right now. Now, you'll see the issue this one has, and you'll see when it actually burnt out, and I wasn't paying attention to it. And again, the way it's set up, I can actually tell what happened. And if I had looked at it sooner, I would have known. Okay. Now, you can see, whoa, well, you got almost nothing for that day, and that day. Then it popped up to here and was going really good. Going down a little bit, going down a little bit, and today is not over, it's going down a little bit too. Now again, let's look at for the month. And you can see the problem. You see all these days from this date here, oops, that date there is when the problem happened, meaning that 4/26 is when this inverter that you're looking at the screen burnt out. Now, this is the second oldest screen. No, sorry, this one's a year old. No, when did I purchase it last? Let's make sure we're clear. Nope, we purchased it May 20. Yeah, because all right. So this one is a year. Now I have 2 other ones that are older that have not burned out at all. And the reason why this one burned out is really, really stupid and really, really simple. The plug wasn't in all the way. Yeah. Now, basically, I was able to fix it. It took me, all I had to do is replace the plug on one side. I'll show you a picture of the end part that burned out. You see the output plug right here? Well, since it wasn't plugged all the way in, and I didn't know it wasn't plugged all the way in and everything else, so that I thought I plugged it in completely, so that it burned out. One of the lugs on this side here burned out. So basically, the fix was basically just replacing this plug. And then as soon as I replaced that plug, it is again back in action. So that was my fault for not plugging the thing all the way in, because it's supposed to be in so that, and I didn't know that it was out partially. But let's look at over the month. Look at the monthly totals. Sorry, over the yearly totals. Okay. Now, as you can see, since this one compared to the other one, again, May was my highest one at 13, and then it dropped in April because, again, that's when the burnout happened. If the burnout didn't happen and everything else of that, it probably would be somewhere in the neighborhood closer to this one here, 15. Now, someone asks, so is it worth it? Okay, well, we're going to basically figure this out. Now, we can look for the yearly total. You can see right there, the yearly total is, and again, it's down at the bottom. So basically, this is from May of last year to now. Because again, even though technically we still have a couple of, because it took me a little while to set up, and so I didn't actually set it up until, as you can plainly see here, it wasn't set up until June. So it's a little bit less than a year. Now, considering that we have the burnout here, we're going to add in back what it would normally have been, because you can see it climbs higher to 16. So it's at 7. So basically we're going to add effectively 8 to this total here. And we're going to add, again, we're going to keep these consistent, because again, it would have been all of May, because again, May is not over yet. And so that, because again, part of this month, it was out too. So for this one here, we're going to add 8, and this one here we're going to add, to keep it consistent with this here, we're going to add 10. So we're going to add 18 to this. So your total right here is going to basically be 138 kilowatts. Let's do that. All right. Now we're looking at a real time thing of basically, this is my bill. Now you can see the temperature here. If you go along the thing, it's virtually the same for the same time period. You can see my bill here versus my bill now. Again, this is a straight line across. My bill now is under $230. My bill prior to that, for the exact same month, now mind you, nothing else has changed. Nothing. The only thing that was added was this set of solar panels. That's it. And again, I would like to remind you, the solar panels for basically, I'm going to say a month, was not operational. Now, again, I had other solar panels on the roof and everything else, but we had one set of solar panels that, again, were not operational for a month. This is, and again, the other ones were working last year. So again, these were with solar panels that were already on the roof and everything else of that. This is what it is now. Notice that my bill has literally been, even though the temperature has been, again, sky high during the summertime and everything else of that, notice that the bill is literally going on a downward trend. Now, again, the other thing is, we only had 2 panels that are facing south. 2. I just put the other 2 out there when I was doing the, well, basically making the fix, because you have to basically disconnect the things and everything else of that. So again, when I made the fix, put the one that you've seen outside back in place, the exact same inverter, you can see my bill has dropped. We're at, again, 230 here. This is 320. So basically it was 300. That's $70, folks. That's $70 in bill droppage in that period of time. Again, you can see the usage again is lower than it was before, even though it's hotter than it was, because again, you can see this is actually closer to the line here than it is before. You can see the amount of money that we actually had to pay has dropped. So $70 in a year. How much did I spend for the panel, for the inverter? And again, I didn't pay the $100. This was, I actually bought it. It was on sale at the time and everything else of that. So it was actually $89. This is real time. Consistently, again, if I show the next billing cycle, if everything is like, you will see it, excuse me, going down and down and down. And again, next year, since I literally just put in put the other 2 back online. Now again, I am going to make a full stand because it's been a year now, so that I already got the wood for it. That's why that's what you see sitting on the solar panels actually sitting on top of. I already have the wood for it to make a stand outside so it can be further up and not be limited to where it's at. Because right now it is getting shaded around this time. That's the reason why when you look at it at this time, even though it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, panels 2 is down to 24 volts. Now, let's look at it from completely, meaning that all my panels combined for the year. At work, you're like, wait, but you have to include the price of the panels, right? Okay, you're right. So in 1 year, it has actually saved me again, and I'm just talking about from month to month. If you're looking at how much it was from that month last year to this month this year, it's a $70 difference. So again, I'm just talking about in a 1 month period of time, the difference between how much I was getting charged last month, how much I'm getting charged for this month with my usage, and how much I consume being the same, because it's actually taking away how much is actually being things. So that's $70. That's a month. My panels are generating $70 in the month, and so that less that I have to pay to the power company. Now you have to multiply that over each month. Now let's average it out instead of say it's not saving $70 each month, because again, you have your winter time and everything else that where you see the production is much lower. Let's say in the winter time is contributing half of the $70. That's $30. Okay. So if we average it out and everything else, let's just average it out at $30 for the thing. So again, I know $70 and everybody's not going to see it. It might have been more sunny now than it was then, just for an average sake. So that just give it a rough estimate. Actually, a rough estimate between the two. The highest is 70, the lowest is 30. Sorry, the lowest would be about 30, 50. Oops, sorry. Mistakes made. 50 times. That's how much it's saving me in a month. Now, again, you already know how much the inverter costs. Again, it was about $80. How much did my panels cost? Well, okay. Now, this is for 2 panels. Again, remember, it's like that I have 4 panels. So let's assume and figure so that times 2, so that $250, because you're going to have hardware. You're going to have, I mounted it myself, so it cost me no money. So that, because again, they're sitting on the ground. So you're going to have hardware. You're going to have basically, for solar, I can give you a good total estimate. Now, again, you gotta have the brackets. Now, you don't need these because it comes with it, but I bought additional ones because I wanted to extend the length of them and everything else. So again, you might want to put one inside of here. You want to have a set of connectors because again, they're joined in parallel. So you're talking about $50 for these. Again, actually, no, I don't need this a ground mount, but in this case, you put them on the roof. $50, $15. You don't need these. Again, I already bought another set for another set of things for that. Don't need these. And these here. And then, of course, the price of the wire. So we have $50, $15. And $30. So $50, $15, $30. So let's do the math. $50, $15, $32, because we'll do it $32. And $230 twice. But again, that's for, even though I didn't have all of them installed, but just for the sake of argument. That's my total. That's the wire, that's the mounts, that's the, oh, I forgot to put in, I'm sorry, I forgot the $89 for the actual inverter, because I spent $89. $656. The total I've spent on, again, the panels, the inverter, the wire. Now, again, I do have more wire, so I could actually put half of that. But again, the amount of wire I used, it was only 10 feet of of this total wire. And this wire here is, it's a 100-foot roll. It's a 100-foot roll per roll. So again, I use about 10 feet of it. But we'll just leave it at we use what we did instead of that. Total price. The total that I've saved, my savings on average is $600. So what I bought in 1 year has literally, again, almost paid for my whole setup completely. Now, yes, if you're not handy, if you don't know how to make the connections, meaning that you know how to, that's the reason why I bought the wire, and I can make my own connections to wire it to the interface. If you're not handy like that, again, you probably have to pay someone else to do it for you and everything else. So that the electrician, something like that, you're going to add a couple of $100 to that, again, for them to get on the roof and put the panels up there and everything else. So let's say it doubles the price of how much you're putting in, comparing to how much that you save with the, again, grid tie inverter setup. So talking about this specific one, now there are better ones out there. Again, if someone wants to send me a better one for that and show me better for that, but I'm talking about something that's reliable. Again, this one burned out in a year, and this was my fault. I have 2 other ones of the exact same one that have been sitting for 3 years. Again, you can look at the original videos, and again, the link is in the descriptions to that, and you can see for yourself when I bought the original one. And actually, it's probably longer than 3 years. That'll show you how long these inverters work. Granted, now I bought this one specifically for a reason, because it has one big giant fan on it that keeps it cool. Now I know other ones that have the smaller fans or the little small fans and everything else. That I didn't pick those because, again, I wanted something that I knew. Again, I deal with computers all the time. I know what airflow means to keeping, electronics alive. Without that airflow, your electronics are going to die a horrible death. Also, when I did my panels, it's a 500-watt inverter. Only 400 watts are being used on that system, meaning that there's still a 100-watt overhead between where it is and where the inverter maxes out at. The reason for that is why I didn't scale it up to exactly the 500 and everything else, that because you have to give it, the closer you get to that ceiling, the faster you burn it out. If you give it a buffer, again, about 80% and everything else, that they will virtually last a long time. Now, again, as I've shown, I did burn out my inverter. Again, the end piece on it was burnt, and that was my fault for not making sure it was plugged all the way in. Now I have already plugged it back, took that out, put a new plug inside of it, bought a new cable to to connect to it. It's just a computer cable, so that plugged that back in. No other problems with it. Now, will this happen to everybody? No. It depends on where you're living at. You could be living in an area that your sunlight is different, or you might have it better because, again, your panels might be facing directly south. That's the reason why I did the test on the floor, just to see how it would be floor mounted, again, south versus east. And these south panels put out a lot more than the east panels by a healthy margin. During the day and everything else, that when I'm looking at one set of panels and everything else, that you're not getting full production, not even close. But the south panel is getting around a good 75%. And again, I know the angle. You can see how they're sitting. I know the angle's wrong. I know it's sitting in it, not professionally done. That's just me sitting it on the ground. kind of having it at the angle that I would have for if it was for summer. And again, 2 of the panels in the back I just doing right now. So that setup was for summer only. I could have tilted them up more for when winter came and everything else like that to maximize the energy I would get for the winter and everything else like that. I didn't do that. I just left them on the ground, left them in the weather, left them down there just to see how it would fare. Now, again, the funny thing about this is I have cats in the neighborhood. They lay on the panels. I have squirrels, lizards, blah, 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 anything and everything going across those panels during the day, or cats laying on it or something like that going throughout the day. You have to kick them off and everything else. So even during the day, they're not getting full productions, especially during the wintertime, because again, during the wintertime, that's when they really, the animals really love to be around the panels because they're hot. During the summertime, no, those panels are smoking hot. They don't want to be next to those at all. But I'm saying during the wintertime, yes, the production does go down, as you've plainly seen, because again, you have animals on it and everything else like that. But if I can save that much money, is it worth it? Yes. Now, are there better setups? I don't know. This works for me because this was the cheapest option for me to get in the door to test out panels. This was the cheapest way for me to do it, DIY it, and be able to say, you know what, this works. Again, I was able to climb on my roof to put 8 sets of panels up there, so I know it works. You can see the numbers. The numbers are quite clear that it works. Again, this is my yearly production last year. And again, this is with part of it not working for 2 months for one string. You can't argue on how much it brought in. This is real data. This is something that, again, I can look at a month to month basis to see again, and you can see one day where the panels weren't working, and again, that's because it wasn't plugged in. It got kicked out. You can see where you have errors and everything else. And again, this number right here, because you can see it's going, and then all of a sudden it disappears. But you should have no day that has no thing, because even on the cloudiest day, you're still going to have enough production, especially with the amount of panels that I have and everything else. And I truly speaking, so that I have more panels that I'm going to add that's been sitting in a that I got from another set from Rich Solar and everything else that I'm going to put up. Now I'm going to bring out more videos and everything else today, because again, I'm going to tell you the difference between the panels and what panels you should get as a manufacturer that you should deal with, and one manufacturer that you need to avoid, like it's the absolute plague. I'll tell you about that in another video, but my name is Warp 103. We're going to say warp out, have fun. I'm going to catch you guys on the next one.